Hello, and welcome to the second phase of the Shanachie Legacy Project. It is called the Irish Suite and has three parts. The first, an Irish Rhapsody, is a pastoral piece written for the piano. It portrays the various shades of green that are found throughout the Irish countryside. The second, a Celtic wedding song, is a piece for voice, penny whistle, flute, 6 and 12-string guitars, and cello. It was written as the first song to be performed when the bride and groom dance at their wedding reception in front of all those in attendance. The third, St. Patrick's Breastplate, is a recitative based on the prayer of the same name. The instruments include penny whistle, flute, 12-string guitar, cello, piano, bodhrán, and timpani. I suggest you make time to and listen to all three compositions in one viewing. That is how they were intended to be experienced, and I am confident your enjoyment will be enhanced when you do. I first visited Ireland with my cousin C.C. Anderson, who lived in the Washington, D.C. area. An Irish friend had alerted me to, be sure to notice the different colors of the land when you pass over them. Our plane flew into Shannon Airport from the west side of Ireland. We approached landfall as the sun was rising. I was fortunate enough to be sitting in the cockpit because my friend Bill Mahoney, the navigator, had secured permission for me to watch the landing from the cruise seat. There below, I saw my first glimpse of what is known as the 40 Shades of Green. All the little plots of land separated by stone fences made from rocks neatly stacked on top of each other, outlining the boundaries of each person's property. Stones dug out of the ground to make smooth the path for the plows to use when they till the land. Music is indigenous to Ireland. It is in the history of the country. It has been a unifying force in times of trial. It is in the very fiber of the people. You hear it everywhere. You hear it in the blowing wind. You hear it in the falling rain. You can hear it coming from the earth when you walk through the countryside if you take the time to listen. This is the spirit I wanted to infuse into the music. I hope you carry that spirit away with you after you have listened to and watched the 40 Shades of Green. The newly wedded couple has left the reception and retreated to the bridal suite. Now, in the quiet that is only punctuated by the crackling of the fire, they rest in the aftermath of their actions. They have just consummated the wedding vows. As he holds her in his arms, he reflects on how long the journey has been to bring him back home at last to marry the woman who has waited so faithfully for him. So as she dozes, he reflects on the many days of hard work and the lonely nights he has had to endure. It has only been her letters of encouragement and occasional phone calls that has helped him to soften the aloneness he has often felt. He, like so many others before him, left his friends and family to find work in a foreign land. He also ponders what the future might bring, but with newfound confidence resolves to face it bravely, resting in the knowledge of the love that their union will provide. Through the years, they will rejoice in the good times, endure the bad, and with the help of God, enjoy the fruits of their labors. The two of them working together will overcome all obstacles, both large and small, that life will present. I see her face in the misty night, in the crackling flames of the fire's light, the glistening sheen of her golden hair grows alive with warmth as she lies with me there. This wedding night has come none too soon, as I've waited long for this time of June. And now I'm home from across the sea to take as my bride this rose of Tralee. And now my heart cries out with joy as my song of love fills the morning air. For I know that you will abide with me from this day forth through eternity. Come walk with me in the soft moonlight, while a gentle breeze fills the summer night, and talk of dreams that we've held so dear, to ourselves alone, where no one could hear. The seasons will come and the seasons will go, yet my love for you will just grow and grow. And now I know that you'll always be the most cherished part of my reality. and my song of love fills the morning air. For I know that you will abide with me from this day forth through eternity. And now my heart cries out with joy as my song of love fills the morning air. For I know that you will abide with me from this day forth through eternity. The story of St. Patrick is based on both fact and fiction. Over the years, they have morphed into what is known as the legend of St. Patrick. He was born in Britain around 386 AD and grew up as the child of an elite Roman family. When he was 16 years old, his family estate was raided by pirates, and he was kidnapped and taken to Ireland. There he was sold as a slave and made a herdsman working for Milchu, a famous Druid priest. Patrick came to view his enslavement as God's test of his faith. During his 6 years of captivity, he became deeply devoted to Christianity through constant prayer. In a vision, he saw the children of pagan Ireland reaching out their hands to him and grew increasingly determined to convert the Irish to Christianity. Patrick had many dreams, one of which told him that a ship was waiting for him to help him escape. He did in fact escape and return to his family in Britain. Soon after, he went to France, entered a monastery, and studied under the guidance of Saint Germanus of Auxerre. He was ordained a bishop by Pope Celestin in 432 AD. He then returned to Ireland and began converting the natives to Christianity. This is a task that occupied his time for the rest of his life. There are many stories of how Patrick did this. Most are related in the allegorical style. Like so many of the stories of Irish history, they are steeped in legend, and you either accept them as truth or discard them as children's stories. But a word of caution to any naysayers who might read this. Tales passed down from generation to generation most always are based on something that actually happened. They are framed in their current words to indicate a higher meaning. For example, did St. Patrick actually cast the snakes out of Ireland, or were they symbolic of the devil and the pagan religions that were being practiced at the time? My version of this piece, St. Patrick's Breastplate, is based on old Irish lyrics traditionally attributed to St. Patrick and his Irish ministry in the 5th century. It has been written as a recitative, music to accompany words as they are being spoken. Also known as the Deer's Cry, it is thought to be authentic. It is said to have turned St. Patrick and his followers into deer when they were being pursued by King Lagaler's men early one morning. Hence the title, The Deer's Cry. However, it is also called the Lorica of St. Patrick. A lorica being a type of prayer of protection, literally meaning breastplate. Since then, it has always been used not only as a morning prayer, but a prayer of protection. It is written in the style of Druidic incantation for protection on a journey. It is part of the Liber Hymnorium, a collection of hymns found in 2 manuscripts kept in Dublin. The words were translated into English verse by Cecil Francis Alexander in 1889 and to 2 traditional Irish tunes. One night, during the time I was writing the music for St. Patrick's Breastplate, I had a dream. I was transported back to the time of Patrick and began to feel the many torments and anxieties that he must have felt. The aloneness of his life in this hostile land. His task to convert the people to religious beliefs contrary to their own. The constant attacks of the evil one who was determined not to let him succeed. All these things weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet through it all, he stayed true to his faith and the belief that he was doing the will of God. Then suddenly, I heard the sound of horns, first coming faintly from the north, then the south, then from the east, and finally the thunder came from out of the west. Then I heard the sound of drums growing louder and stronger as if they were the boots of men marching, coming together from all directions. They came to a vast open field, and there on a hill stood St. Patrick. On another part of the field stood the evil one with all his minions, taunting and harassing Patrick and his followers. Then Patrick raised his mitre and pointed in the direction of Satan, and the horns from all 4 sides of the field came forth with a mighty blast that shook the earth. The forces of good attacked the forces of evil, and the battle ensued. It raged for hours, and finally the evil one and his followers retreated, leaving Patrick and his forces triumphant. The day had been won, but the cost was dear. Many good men had given their lives for the faith, but in every one of those who had fallen, 10 would rise to take their places. This is the picture I hope you will see when you listen to the music. I, who am short of temper and weak of will, take great comfort in the knowledge that Patrick, like many other saints before and since, have suffered mightily against the temptations of the flesh and the evil one. Armed with this knowledge, I know that I am not alone in my struggle, and with the help of the Lord and the example of these holy men and women to guide me, I will emerge triumphant in the end. I arise today through the mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through the belief in the threeness, through the confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. I arise today through the strength of Christ's birth with his baptism, through the strength of his crucifixion with his burial, through the strength of his resurrection with his ascension, through the strength of his descent for the judgment of doom. I arise today through the strength of the love of cherubim, in obedience of angels, in the service of archangels, in the hope of resurrection to meet with reward, in prayer of patriarchs, in prediction of prophets, in preaching of apostles, in faith of confessors, in innocence of holy virgins, in deeds of righteous men. I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of sun, radiance of moon, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of wind, depth of sea, stability of earth, firmness of rock. I arise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eye to look before me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak to me, God's hand to guard me, God's way to lie before me, God's shield to protect me, God's host to save me from the snares of devils, from the temptation of vices, from everyone who shall wish me ill, afar and near, alone and in multitude. I summon today all these powers between me and those evils, against every cruel, merciless power that may oppose my body and soul, against incantations of false prophets, against black laws of paganism, against false laws of heretics, against idolatry, against spells of witches and smiths and wizards, against every knowledge that corrupts man's body and soul. Christ, to shield me today against poison, against burning, against drowning, against wounding, so that there may come to me an abundance of reward. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me. Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me. Christ on my right, Christ on my left. Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I arise. Christ in the heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through the belief in the threeness, through the confession of the oneness, of the Creator of creation.